Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today in a continuation of my series on duping and how to sort of figure out recipes, I wanted to take a look at the sorts of things that, maybe we shouldn't make at home or you should sort of think twice about and maybe evaluate if your formulation knowledge and experience is up to snuff. Category number one of things you definitely shouldn't make at home is things that you can't make safely, because obviously, you didn't get into DIY to hurt yourself. So thing number one would definitely be things that you can't preserve well. So Lush is a great place for this kind of inspiration, where you take a look at the recipes and they say that they have fresh food and fresh fruit and like fresh milk in their products. I have absolutely no idea how they're doing that. And so if you are trying to do this at home, you're just really not going to be able to safely preserve that. So it's probably a better idea to create a recipe that maybe has some of the elements that are preservable and then maybe modify the ones that you aren't, so you're not really doing a dupe at that point in time. It's more of a sort of inspired by and much more safer to make in your own kitchen. Something else I would worry about making safely at home would be concoctions that use high concentrations of potent ingredients. So if you're looking at, say, a chemical peel, something that's like a 30% alpha hydroxy acid, I really wouldn't recommend trying to make that at home, even though you can go out and buy, your glycolic and your lactic acid, and you could. But I would really recommend leaving that to the pros, because just the potential to hurt yourself, to damage your skin, to cause some serious irritation is just quite high. I would recommend sticking with sort of lower risk stuff, unless you are actually a professional formulator with a good cosmetic chemistry background. That just seems a little higher in the risk department than I think is wise to take on. How many ingredients are in the original formula? If there's like 50 ingredients in the original formula, even if you can go out and buy all of them, there's two big things to consider that mean that kind of trying to make this yourself might end up being a giant waste of money. It might also just be really, really fun, and if you want to do it for fun, cool. But if there's like 50 ingredients, you're probably looking at like few ingredients are sort of less than $10, so it's like $500 of ingredients right there, and the chances that you can get them all from the same place are fairly slim, so now you're tacking on shipping from multiple vendors. So that's a pretty large outlay for attempting to recreate something that, part two, you might not even be able to really do. When there's that many ingredients in it, there's an infinite number of ways to combine them with an infinite number of different ratios. Like, the reason products that have a lot of ingredients like that, especially sort of more natural face and beauty serums, tend to be really expensive is because they had to do a ton of development with all the experiments, with all the different ingredients to make something that works. So I kind of tend to see, like, when I see products and I get a lot of recipe requests for these sorts of things, they're like, hi, I love this really expensive facial serum. Could you help me recreate it? The ingredients look fairly simple. It's like, okay, the ingredients look fairly simple, but there's 50 of them. And the chances that I'm going to be able to hit on the precise combination and set of ratios that created the product that you fell in love with are pretty much infinitesimal. So if you want to spend all the money on the ingredients and do all the experimentation and spend months, if not years, working on it for fun, go for it. But if you are looking to save money, that's probably not going to pan out as a money-saving endeavor, unfortunately. Can you even get the ingredients? If you can't get half of the ingredients in a project, or you can't get the key ingredients in a product that you're trying to dupe, and you're making a ton of different substitutions, you're basically just reinventing it anyways. It's more of a sort of homage to the original than a dupe. So if something has a ton of complex ingredients in it that you can't get, and especially if some of those complex ingredients are like the key ingredients, the thing that like do the piece of magic that you want that skincare product for, again, this is probably not a thing that you should be trying to make at home, because you're probably just going to waste a lot of money on the adjunct ingredients, and you won't get that magical thing that you liked the product for in the first place. If it's just like a lotion or something that uses carrier oils that are different from the ones that you have, it's probably fine. But if you're looking at sort of the cosmeceutical end of things, the magical anti-aging serums and face brightening and that sort of thing, when you start making a ton of substitutions, you really start to basically compromise the ability of the product to be anywhere close to what you were hoping for. So another thing to think about. If you can't get the ingredients, because not everything is available to home crafters, maybe you should just buy it. The last category I wanted to talk about is stuff that you can't make effectively, or maybe just can't be arsed to make effectively, which is also totally fine. This one starts to kind of butt up against your knowledge and your experience as a formulator, and also the size of a pantry you want to have. Not everybody wants to have $2,000 worth of DIY skincare ingredients in their home. That doesn't necessarily sort of constitute savings in a lot of people's eyes, even if this individual serum is less expensive if you don't use it that often and you had to spend $300 on all the ingredients. Maybe you would just prefer to buy it. So vitamin C serums are a good example of a thing that we can make at home, but definitely requires not an insignificant investment in fairly specialized ingredients as well as equipment. So I'm going to throw a link to a great vitamin C serum recipe in the description box below. It's from the Acid Queen, and I want you to go take a look at it and see sort of the level of specificity that is required to create a stable vitamin C serum, because it's a lot harder than making a lip balm. So that's sort of the category of things where it's like, you can do it at home for sure, but it requires a pretty good amount of work and quite a lot of ingredients. And if you can't be fussed with that, if you don't want to buy all of those ingredients, it's probably just sort of accept that those are kind of the requirements of making a successful version of like a long-term shelf-stable vitamin C serum, and maybe that's just not in your DIY docket, and that's totally fine. The other category of that is the cosmetic chemistry wizardry sort of stuff. Stuff like a new Charlotte Tilbury cream I saw on YouTube that literally morphs color as you apply it to your skin to like match and enhance your skin tone. Or one of the Deciem brands, Hylamide, has something called the Glow Molecule, which is a serum that you can apply to your face, and over the course of several days, it develops, like it gives you sort of a natural tanny glow using a really neat, apparently saccharide technology. I have no idea how I would make any of those things at home. That's cosmetic chemistry wizardry. Those are really, really incredible products that do amazing things and use ingredients that we just don't have access to. Who knows? Over the course of the next couple years, these ingredients may become sort of more accessible to home crafters. But for now, if you want a face cream that magically morphs to match any skin tone, I think you're probably going to have to buy it, because I gotta say, that just sounds like magic to me. All right, well, those are my thoughts on kind of the things that you can't or maybe shouldn't bother making at home. I would love to hear about sort of experiences that you've had trying to dupe particularly complex or tricksy sorts of things, and I don't know, what happened? Did you eventually sort of decide you didn't want the product in your life, or you were okay with your version, or maybe you decided that you were just gonna keep buying the original and that was okay with you? I'd love to hear how you guys have sort of solved this problem when you've come up against it. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, check the description box below for some helpful links and extended reading, and I'll see you next time.